I absolutely love being on the phone. I talk to people like I'm an actual human, just really friendly, and you can pretty much see their wall kind of immediately come
You
down.
remind me of Daniel and I when we started, like, you're working every lead, you're answering calls all times of the day. Like, that is the stuff to be really successful.
It is almost impossible to not get a deal. It just takes drive. If you have drive in this business, you will be successful.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined today by Nick Ums. Nick's been a student with us, I guess, 6 months yesterday, Nick. So you're one of our newer people as far as having on the podcast, but you've been very successful, very active in the community. So I'm really excited to talk to you, learn more about yourself, about your business. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's just start, Nick, and that's what I usually ask people. Like, how did you find land investing? Was it a long decision? Was it a fast decision? How did you find land investing? Not necessarily us, but how did you find land investing?
Okay, so I might have one of the most unique stories of how I actually got into land investing. A woman, Danielle, who had been cutting my hair for about 3 years or so, one day she told me, Nick, quitting my job, my land investing business is just too much. I can't handle both. I have to do my land investing business. And I had never heard of land investing. And I was like, okay, what is that? I kind of asked her, how it all works. And she talked about sending mail. And I thought, you're actually sending mail to people's houses. And then they reply, and then you buy it, and then you sell it for double. And she said, yeah, that's what I do. And I was kind of blown away. I didn't ask too many questions, but I was just kind of, as I'm getting my hair cut, I'm thinking, this is like such a unique thing. So, okay, so we finish up, I get home and I just Google land investing. And you guys are the first that came up. So, okay, so she didn't recommend you guys or anything. She just said that she was doing it. So I went online and I found you guys and I kind of watched a couple of videos. I've never looked at any other land investing products online or anything like that. So I said, okay, let me take a look at this. So then I started listening to your podcast, and now I've listened to every single one of your podcasts. Some of them I've listened to multiple times, and I thought, like, okay, am I going to do this? And I was just such on the fence with, am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? With, I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. And then I thought, okay, a lot of people think, is this real? Can this actually work? So I said, I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work for me, then this does not work. I'm going to do it exactly like they say. And if what they say is true, it's going to work. Let me throw down my money here, give it a shot, just do exactly what they say and see what happens. And sure enough, everything worked out pretty well, like right off the get-go. I'm sure you've heard that I had like a slew of deals right at the very beginning, and it was the most impressive proof of concept I've ever seen. So I've been, pushing right along ever since.
So did you when was that hair appointment that you had versus when you joined on June 4th?
Okay, so I think that it was probably the beginning of May. So the
Okay.
beginning of May, and what happened was I was redoing my deck in the backyard for my daughter's first birthday. I had to get this deck done by her birthday. So I was listening to every single one of your podcasts as I'm building this deck. So like for Anthony, I got to hear Anthony's like entire life story on how he started, with his dad and how things moved on and now he's with you guys. So it was pretty awesome to see his progression through this and just listening to other people. So that with her, that was probably like the beginning, middle of May. Had the call with Anthony on May 29th. Then on June 4th, I bought the land investing course. Then June 6th, I got my LLC. June 28th was my first mailer. It was only 1,300 pieces of mail. July 7th is when the mail hit. August 1st is when I purchased my first land. I think it was $14,000. And then it actually sold the next day for 28.
Wow. That is
Mhm.
that's a whirlwind of stuff. What was kind of
Yeah.
your feeling? It's a lot that happened fast. What was your feeling when like the proof of concept happened? When was that proof of concept that happened? Was it when you're starting to get calls? You're like, oh my goodness, people are interested in doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I bought. I bought a phone that I call my land phone. I bought a
Mm.
phone off of eBay, just an iPhone. Got a phone number set up, and then I use reception 24/7. And the emails from reception 24/7 just were coming in and in and in. I was like, this is like crazy. I cannot. I was just blown away. Like, I cannot believe that this is actually working. And my wife was just like blown away too. And we're just like, this is amazing. So, my biggest thing is follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. You've heard me talk in the past, probably online, about how I think only 10 to 15% of the people are actually doing good follow up and closing deals. And you really need to be in that top 10, 15% to be able to make things happen and not just, get these messages and call them back 6 hours later.
That's huge, and I think, like you said, maybe 80% of people aren't even
Yeah.
doing any follow-up,
Yeah.
or just like, okay, this just assuming that someone's not gonna be willing to negotiate. Um, do you have do you feel good on the phones in terms of sales, everything like that? Or you're just kinda like, "I'm trying to make deals happen. However we make them happen, I'm willing to do it."
Yeah, I absolutely love being on the phone. So when I get a message from reception 24/7, I'm like, please let it don't be remove me from list, because that happens sometimes. And when I get a deal that comes in, it says, person's interested. I'm like, all right, it's game on, it's game time. I call them. I talk to people like I'm an actual human that is friendly. I don't say, "Hi, this is Nick. Thank you for calling my land company." Say, "Hey, what's happening? See that you're looking to sell some land. Just wanted to see if I could answer any questions for you." Just really friendly, and you can pretty much see um, their their wall kind of immediately come down. They kind of are tense. They don't know who they're calling, but when you approach them in a real friendly manner, like you're buddies with them or whatever, it really brings that wall down and they feel much more comfortable talking with you. So that's probably one of my biggest strengths, is actually on the phone, not being afraid to call people. I have done a couple. I've probably only done like 25 actual cold calls, where I would find land that I actually purchased from before and would say, "Hey, I bought land down the street from you. Are you interested?" And I actually purchased one piece of land that way, which I was kind of surprised that it worked out so well, just with only making about 25 calls.
25 calls in one deal. That's it, that's
Mhm.
it. That's free also. It's free making those
Yeah, it
phone
was
calls.
great.
It's
Yeah.
so simple too, and it's such a I think it's I don't think anything's wrong with everyone doing that, honestly. I did and you know the market. That's the thing that's great about it. After you sell a piece of land in an area, like, "Oh, crap, this is way faster." You sold a piece of land in, one day, your first deal, so, like, you can pay a little more probably for those nearby properties if you can sell the other ones in 1,
Yeah.
2, 7 days, whatever it is. So let's talk about those 1,300 mailers because so you sent 1,300 mailers. Do you know your numbers in terms of calls and everything like that that you got or anything?
From that 1,300 calls, or
Mailers, yeah.
sorry, 1,300 mails, I got 4 deals from that.
You got 4 deals, wow.
Mm.
I remember, and I was talking to someone about it the other day. I don't know who it was. I remember seeing in Discord, Nick's like, "I get a deal for every 400." I'm like, "Yeah, he does, or he has." And it's like,
Yeah.
don't expect that, but at the same time, like, was it a good county you picked in your opinion? Like, were there things? Was it the follow up that you did? Like, was it a combination? Combination of things? Because most people don't send 2,000 mailers out and get 4 deals. Most people are hoping to get one deal from
Yeah.
their first 2,000, 2,500 mailers. What went right?
I really think it has to do with my follow-up, because I look back now and I think, like, that county really wasn't the the best county. I could definitely pick better ones now, but I think it was just a really good time. A lot of people, when I would talk to other people, realtors and stuff like that, they actually told me. One guy said that county is deader than a doornail. Right? He said that, and then I got 4 deals out of it. I was looking for a realtor. It was very hard to find somebody in that area that would help me. So I ended up just selling uh, the other one with the realtor, 3 on Facebook. So that county, if I could go back, I'd probably choose a little bit uh, better one, but I cannot complain with that. But I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of help because I have had about uh, 13 deals that I worked total that just never amounted to anything. So the total deals that I've sold so far are eight, and then I have eight that are currently listed on the MLS.
So those first 4 deals, you've sold all those or no?
Yeah.
And how much did you make on those about?
Oh. Well, I can tell I have the numbers for the eight that I've sold.
Yeah,
So
give
out
me
of
those.
okay, so out of that eight that I sold, the net profit on that is 96,000.
Awesome. And
And that
this is in 6 months. This is through mistakes.
yeah.
I'm sure. We can talk about those later, but yeah, it's and you have some other that you're selling right now or no?
Yeah, I have eight others that are listed right now. Two of
Good.
those are deal funded. Another one is a transactional funding that I'm doing a double. We're trying to work on a double close for that. Those total eight right there. Um, the net profit on those, if they would all sell right now, would
Yeah.
be 240,000.
So then you're talking about $340,000 of profit in your 6 months. Not realized yet. Not all the profits realized, but like when you have equity, you have equity. It's like you buy a house for 50% of what it's worth. You know you're going to make money on the back end. It's just a matter of when. Nick, curious, do you have any entrepreneur background prior to land investing?
No, no. Now I do have a little bit of sales experience and phone experience from like 20 years ago. But as for start, this is the first LLC that I've ever started. But I really wanted to get something going because I have an IT background, but I was like, okay, I just need something more, something of my own business. And I've always kind of looked for something that would um, fall in that line. And I never thought in a million years that getting a haircut would would lead to having my own successful business.
That's awesome. Do you ever talk to her anymore?
Oh yeah, yeah. So she actually just texted me right now as we're talking. It's kind of funny. I told her that I was gonna do this. So big shout out to Danielle. If it wasn't for her, I definitely would not be in this business or even know that land investing exists. So big shout out to her.
Wow, that's incredible. And like your success over your first 6 months, it's
Yeah.
not taken lightly as far as like how it's not normal. But you just like you said, you watched the podcast. I'm sure you watched the education religiously when you first started. And then you just took action. You didn't do. Tell me if you did. You do anything differently than what we kind of talk about in the first 6 months?
Let's see. I pretty much did everything on point. One thing that I started doing is I did pricing by county, like exactly like you said in the video. I watched that video probably six times while I was actually doing pricing, because at first I was just kind of confused, and then I realized there's no way that I would have figured out how to do this without that one pricing module. That pricing module was like the biggest, I'd say, piece of information out of the whole course. I was like, this makes total sense. I would have never understood how to do this little formula without seeing that module. So that was pretty awesome. Now I do it. I've been doing pricing by zip code a little bit, and now my latest mailer, I just did 4,400 pieces of mail that just hit this week, and I basically just took all these different like little pockets all
Hmm.
all over the place. Now that took forever to price, and pricing is probably the number one thing that I do not like. I do not like pricing at all. It just takes a very long time. By the by the end of it, I just want to like take one of the prices and drag it all the way to the bottom. Be like, okay, all these are going to be priced the same, but I know I can't do that. So it definitely does take a lot of extra time. So now I see why people can pay to have you all price it for them, and that definitely makes sense. Um, but for me, I like to have my hand on the entire business. I don't have any VAs or anything like that. pricing to me is like the most important thing in the whole business, because if it's priced wrong, then no one's going to call. So that's probably the most important thing. That and follow up.
Amazing. So no entrepreneur experience and you just come into this and just kill it the first 6 months. Like from your mindset, you said at the beginning, like, I'm going to try this exactly how they say. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But like what from your mindset, just, is it, if those 1,300 mailers didn't work, was that going to be different in terms of like what's going to come after? I don't think so necessarily, but like mindset wise, it's not, you make it sound easy in terms of just like, I'm all in. I'm doing this. It's gonna work. I'm gonna make it work. But talk about your mindset a little bit, especially without an entrepreneur background.
Right. So if the 1,300 mailers wouldn't have worked out, I did get, if I wouldn't have gotten any calls whatsoever, any, put me on the do not call list, anything whatsoever, that would have maybe, made me question things a little bit, but I still would have put out another mailer or two. Uh, but the fact is that if you do it how you guys explained, it is almost impossible to not get a deal. Like when I saw on your website, the three, I think it was like a 3 month guarantee. I look back at that and I'm like, how would you, it's like impossible not to get a deal in 3 months if out of 2,500 mailers each time. I mean, it just like blows my mind how you would not be able to get a deal in 3 months. So it just takes drive. If you have drive in this business, you will be successful. I mean, that's easy as I can put it. That and following up with people immediately after you get that message. I don't want to wait for that person to even be able to go to the bathroom, get a snack, anything. I'm right back on the phone with them while it's still fresh in their mind so that I can, talk to them. If I talk to them, there is a high percentage chance that I'll actually end up buying the property.
A lot of things, one of the main things that I see hold people up when they're first getting started and they get the first couple people on the phone is like hesitancy in their voice. And the sellers can hear it for sure. And the sellers aren't sure if they're going to get the money that they're being offered. And the sellers, like, it just seems like a flaky potential buyer. Did you not have that at the beginning? What about like reviewing deals? Because that's a big hurdle when people get started. But like that uncertainty that sellers can definitely feel the first few phone calls. How was that?
Yeah, I definitely put all my deals, or the majority of my deals, through the weekly deal review. When you guys, when Anthony reviews it, it definitely puts my mind more at ease on the deal. Now I can tell right off the bat kind of if it's a bad deal or not, but that definitely helps. And when I talk to the seller, I really explain to them what's going to happen kind of from A to B without a very lengthy conversation where they're going to kind of start thinking about something else. I tell them, well, we'll purchase the land. This is, in this state or in this county, this is the title company that I use. This is, maybe I'll even mention the person that I use. I tell them that I'm going to send you a contract. I At first I was using the contract from the letter, but now I just do it online. I just email it to them. They sign it. It comes back to me. I tell them, hey, I'm going to take this. I'm going to send it to the title company. The title company, they handle all the legal work. I make sure to tell them that you're not sending the money to me. They're going to do all the legal work. You're going to send the money to them. And then when everything is signed, they release the money to me. And then I pretty much explain it in reverse when I'm selling the property. So that way they know that they're not giving money directly to me. I'm not writing up all this legal work. I'm not doing the deed, anything like that. So I really try to lay it out so that it's very easy for somebody to understand, no matter how much they know about the business. Because I'll get people that know absolutely nothing and they say, I'll pay you cash. It's like they want to, or are you going to give me an envelope of cash, basically? Some of these people think, and other people have no idea. And so I try to really explain it where anybody can understand in a very short amount of time without
Mhm.
them getting lost in the weeds.
Making it simple for them is huge.
Yeah.
Like that's part of our quick quick cash for them, not actual physical cash. But yeah, the title company's there to prevent fraud on both sides, and that's an important thing for us to understand too, because we don't want to get money from a seller and then a seller or the seller not sign a deed. Like going through a title company, the title company gets the signed deed from them, they get the money from us, and then transfer it like that. What are you implementing right now that might be different, if anything? Like what is, and then let's talk about 2025. Like we're getting close to 2025. You've had an amazing first 6 months in this business, but I'm sure you want to grow. Anything new that you're implementing right now? Texting, anything like that? Any other marketing?
I thought about texting. I was just messaging with the guys through launch control yesterday. So I've kind of been on the fence. Like, am I going to do it? Am I going to not? I'm probably going to do it. I was listening to the podcast that you just released the other day. Basically, when you're all in for 10,000 texts, it's about $1,400 a month. So that, to get a deal for $1,400, that's pretty good. So I'm thinking about doing that. It's just the time that's involved in doing that. You have the time you're either going to spend on the mail or the time you're going to spend
Mm,
on texting. I might do one or the other. For me, mail has been just really successful. One of the things I really like about mail is that the paper will physically sit on their kitchen table for, like you said, or they put it on the refrigerator. I had somebody the other day call me, and I couldn't believe how old the mail was. It was like 3 or 4 months old, and I ended up making that deal. So that's what I like about the physical paper. It just sits there. I have paper on my desk or on my kitchen counter that's probably been there for like 6 months, and it just sits there and just constantly reminds them. Versus a text might just sit in their phone and get kind of lost. But I do see the benefits of both. So I'll probably end up doing texting. Probably that might be something that I do for 2025. But I just kind of have to weigh my options with it a little bit because I don't want to dump all my money into texting and then not have any for mail.
mhm.
One thing that I have done lately is with my funding is I'll have uh, when I'll receive the funds to the title company, I'll tell the title company to hold on to the money so that way they can fund the deal later on in the day for
Mm,
the next one.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What what kind of time are you putting into this business right now on a daily basis? Has it decreased since you started? Because there's a bigger barrier to entry with time just because you got to learn so much.
Yeah, I would say I put in probably a couple hours a day.
Hmm.
Usually, most people contact me, after work hours, anywhere from 5 to 8 o'clock at night. I actually put on my letter that we're open from I think it's like 7 a.m. to 7 no 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time daily.
Mm,
So they can call me on a Sunday. They can call me anytime. That's one of the things that I
I like that.
put in my letter. So, if I'm not available, my wife's available. She can text them back. She can, call them, take a message, something like that. So we're open for business pretty much 24/7. I closed a deal laying in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was one of my first deals that I sold, and that was through Facebook. I'd say about half of my things that I've sold have been through Facebook Marketplace. So no one sleep on Facebook Marketplace. That's like one of the greatest places to sell land. You will have to deal with a lot of people that just click the "Is this available?" button, and then you click "Yes, are you interested?" Those people are pretty much not interested. But I'll always reply to every single one that comes through because you just never know. But Facebook Marketplace, that's a great place to sell land.
You remind me of Daniel and I when we started. Like it's just like you're just doing everything to make it successful, and like you're not leaving any stone unturned. You're working every lead. You're figuring out every way to sell land possible. You're answering calls all times of the day. Like that is the stuff to be really successful. Do you have uh, financial goals in 2025 that you have written down, or anything like I want to do X number of deals for X number of dollars, anything like that?
I would certainly love to double the amount of deals that I've done. That would be a great goal. Um, to stay, I mean, it would be great to make $500,000. Um, I really, in the very beginning, I had to ramp up, and I'm just constantly reinvesting, constantly reinvesting. I'm not taking any money out. It's just, I'll start with $10,000. I'll buy something. I'll make 25,000. I'll take that 25,000, buy something else, keep buying something else. Um, so I if I could do 500 next year, I would be extremely happy. My wife would be extremely happy. Everything would be great. It could, you know, pay off any additional bills, things like that, and that would take care of mail and texting for the whole year. So that'd be pretty cool too.
That'd be yeah, that would be incredible, and I think you can surpass that. I think you have a potential to hit seven figures next year. Are you
Yeah,
trying to go after? I think you will. Also, we're gonna have a conversation in 12 months from now. Ben, write that down. We're gonna have a conversation 12 months from now, and you'll be hitting seven figures if not already hit. But what I was gonna ask, do you have any? Are you targeting any bigger deals, or they just come through when they come through? If they come through.
I will target the biggest deals possible. I was targeting deals that were. I was talking with a lady. I think it was like a buy for 2 million, somewhere around there. She had a couple different things that I was working on, but yeah, there is no dollar limit. I will treat a deal that's a you know buy for $10,000 deal the exact same way I will with a like I have one that's like a right now buy for 138,000. If it was buy for 3 million, I would probably treat it the exact same way. I would talk to them the same on the phone. Um, I wouldn't have any hesitation or anything like that. But these people, they're interested in selling. I'm interested in buying, and so it's pretty much a win-win in that category. And I've actually targeted. I did a whole mailer that I think everybody was between 400 and $600,000,
Hmm.
and that was in Illinois. And I wanted to do Illinois because you guys said that we haven't really had any deals in Illinois or anything like that. So I targeted this mass. It was the only county that I've never. I didn't make a single deal, but people they wrote back. They mailed my mailer back to me, and they wrote like all these messages like I was getting 10,000, $14,000 an acre for this, and they mailed it back. So people talk about hate calls. I was getting hate mail. They spent money to mail stuff back to me, which I thought was kind of surprising, but it was pretty funny.
Interesting.
I kind of enjoyed that. Yeah.
So is that your only niche, like targeted mailer thus far? Do you have plans for more like targeted mailers in 2025?
Yeah, I think that what I would like to do is go to closer to major cities
Mm.
versus just doing two versus doing two counties removed. I'm doing more like around major cities. So basically, I'm using the polygon tool. The polygon tool is my new best friend because
Okay.
I sit there and I'll draw like a million polygons around the major city, and I'll do like multiple major cities, and then I'll pull all that data. So I know that the amount of deals will be less closer to major cities, but the profit will be higher.
Mm.
So it's just kind of I'm always trying to test different things to see like, okay, would this work? I don't kind of stick to one mindset and just keep repeating and repeating it. I like to kind of change things up and see if there's something else that will work because I may send out 2,000, 3,000 pieces of mail and get one deal in a big area. The total amount of pieces of mail that I've actually sent, minus the one that I just sent out, is about 9,000.
And
So
16 deals.
I've only sent out 9,000. I looked on Rocket Print, and minus my 4,400 deals, I've only sent out about 9,000 pieces of mail.
And you have 16 deals, and one was from a cold call. Is that correct?
Yep. And actually, I do have another one that was a referral because it was funny because I got a deal from a guy who gave me the longest lecture on how I would not be able to flip this piece of land.
Yeah.
I talked him down a little bit. I talked him down to 7,000. He's like, I've been doing this since the 80s. you're not, what do you think you're going to flip this? You can't flip this. I bought it. I sold it the next day for 17,000. So it was a $10,000. Then I messaged him later, said, "Hey, do you have any more land?" So about a month later, he got back to me, said, "Hey, I got this other one. I'll sell it to you for 9,000." I looked at this land. It was a 2 acre corner lot, all grass, a couple of trees. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like amazing." So I bought it from him. I sold that for 23,000. So so then I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, you
Anymore?
have more land?" And so he messaged me back, and he's like, I have one more. It's 10,000." I was looking at it the other day, and so I might actually put that into the deal review on maybe Monday, and see what y'all think about that. I'm kind of iffy on that one, but I just thought it was great that I got this super long lecture, and then I just made like $10,000 right off the bat.
Wow, that's really cool. Some of those small deals are great. Like I've been seeing more of those buy for 7, sell for 21.
Yeah.
And it's just like just people offloading land, and we can provide a ton of value there when you have quick cash. It's the people who are trying to wholesale and double close those small pieces where
Mhm.
there's enough margin to flip that don't do well because it's just really hard to get those under contract, everything like that. And you're selling on the right spots. You're selling on Facebook. So 9,000 mailers, 16 deals, but two of those, one was a cold call, one was a referral.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the better efficiencies for the first 9,000 mailers, probably the best that we've ever seen. And that's turned into $340,000 of projected profit. Talk a little bit about like you've been, and I said at the beginning, you've been extremely active in Discord. I think you're in most of our calls. Sometimes I don't see everything, but I think you're in most of our calls. You've been really active in Discord. Talk about not only the support from the community. You said you watch Anthony's like you see Anthony's whole career in super speed by watching our podcasts and stuff. But just talk about that community and how that's helped and what you've given back a ton to it as well.
Yeah, the community actually is really surprising to me because it's pretty much 100% positive. And whenever you're on an online community, there's you got your haters and your negativity. But on the Discord, everyone is so extremely helpful. Everyone's very patient with new people, and everyone's willing to lend a hand and kind of help somebody out and really go out of their way, which kind of blew my mind at the beginning because people were really willing to help me, which I was really thankful for. And so any kind of, not that I'm an expert, but anything that I've experienced in the past, I'll try to share that knowledge with other folks on there that may have a question, or even if it's a simple question. I always like to kind of reply. A lot of times at night, I'll lay in bed and I'll just reply to four comments and try to give some answers, things like that. So and then see what other people have to say. I've definitely put a couple questions out there too. I actually just put one out there about survey hacking. That's one of the new.
Mm.
I should have said that before. That's one of the newest things that I'm doing. I just sent out, I think, like 1,200 mailers for survey hacking. So that I really like the online community. It's been helpful. Especially with deal funding and things like that. That's another really great thing that has been helpful as well.
That's good to hear. Um, what's your thoughts on the industry? And you don't seem like one who's like, yeah, I'm scared of what's going to happen. There's too many people in this industry because you realize like the low end of people who are not really doing anything the right way, not how you do business. What's your thoughts on the industry as a whole in 2025 and beyond?
I feel like there are more people getting into it, but like I always say, you have to really be on top of your game. I'm not worried about anybody else that's coming into this industry or if it's oversaturated or anything like that because I know that the way that I'm constantly attacking it, there are people out there that are going to get in this for 3 months and they're just going to not really do anything and just kind of fall out of it.
Mm.
So as long as I keep staying on top of things and attack it and reply to people and always on top of my game, um, I'm not worried about. I'm never worried about anybody else. Even if I see some people on Discord, saying, maybe somebody says something saturated or a specific town or a state, I was really afraid to go into the state that I'm in at first. And I was like, okay, screw it. This is a hot state. I'm going to go in. And that's where half of my deals have been coming from. So now I just go full force, and any kind of negativity, all my friends, my family, when I first was getting into this, they were like, Nick, come on, this is you're actually putting money into this, like this. I know you're not like the type of person that's going to get like scammed. Like, is this real? Like, how much are you paying these guys to get in this? And I said, or what contract did you have to sign? I said, nothing. This is my own business. I'm going to try this and I'm going to see. And the best part of it was, when I had I got paid on two. I had two wire transfers come in the same day, and I took a picture. I took a screenshot of the wire transfer, and I sent it to my friend. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe." He's like, "That actually works." So now everybody knows that it works. But the funny thing is that I can tell 100 people to do it. It's like, lead a horse to water. But the reason why I'm not worried about this is getting saturated is because there's one thing is talking about it, and then there's another thing of actually doing it. And I went over to somebody's house recently with my wife, and I gave them like a TED talk about this whole thing I laid out. I showed my spreadsheets. We never heard from them ever again. And it's like, this works. This is how you make money. You can do this. And yet, there are people that are just don't have the drive, or they're too scared to do it. I'm like, I'm just going to do this and see what happens. And as you can hear, it's been great for me. I've got no complaints.
Is it and I always wonder those mindset, like, some people are working at W2 that they hate and they're not willing to take any risk. I'm like, it seems like you're in the like where you hate to be. Like, why not try some? Do you think it's fear or mindset, or like you said, like you're one person in your family, extended family, and like you're the only person that believed it. Maybe your wife did a little bit, but she was probably more skeptical than you, I'm guessing. But just, is it fear? Is it mindset? Is it a combination?
Well, my wife was 100% supportive of
Love
this
it.
from the beginning, which is awesome, and she still is. She says, I trust your judgment. You know what you're doing. Go at it. So that having her as a big supportive person in this business is extremely helpful. But yeah, I think that other people, for them, it's such a big hurdle in their mind to get over. Like, I am going to actually do something. And yes, there are a lot of steps that you have to do. You have to do an LLC. You got to talk to all these people at the county. You have to do all these things. But it's really not that difficult. I know in the one podcast you had, they said that you guys were talking about there's like 57 steps or something like that from beginning to getting paid.
That's a
To
long
me,
one.
yeah, but I have so many things at the beginning and so many things at the end, that as long as you keep, you're sending out mail, you're closing deals, you're purchasing, you're selling. When you have all that going on at the same time, to me, it's it's a lot of fun. I love doing this. I All my friends know that I can literally talk about land like nonstop for probably an hour, without the other person speaking. Um, but yeah, I think that other people are just very hesitant. Like I told you, I've told so many people about this. I can't get anybody to actually do it, even though they've seen the proof of concept. But I think that it just takes that real mind shift and that drive to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe they live it through you. Maybe, I don't know.
I guess they can live it through me. That's fine as long as I'm the money.
Yeah. What has the money and land, or if anything, so far? What is that going to allow you to do? We always talk about like we're big on freedom, like not necessarily like there's so many different types of freedom. Maybe it's just like spending a weekend with your son or daughter. I don't know if you mentioned, but you said you're at a 1 year old at the time. What does freedom look like to you? What has land investing allowed you to do?
Well, for first thing, it will help pay off a lot of bills, which is always very helpful. So, I have a deal coming in. It's like December 26th. That's going to be $55,000. I'm like, okay, great. That is going to be extremely helpful. I'll be able to put a lot of that back into the business, and I'll also be able to pay off some bills as well. We just went on a trip. We did a cruise. We went down to Florida, and land. land helped pay for some of that, and I put in the success stories. I actually was on the ship. This I'm always working on land, right? I was on the ship. I was writing a contract as my daughter was taking a nap. I'm literally in the dark on the other side of the bed, on the floor, on my laptop, typing up a contract to send it to the buyer, or excuse me, yeah, from the buyer. And then I had another call where I was on the phone with the buyer and his bank as I'm walking down the street in Aruba. He's calling me. I'm like, I have no idea how much this call is costing me, but hey, it's totally worth, even if it's $10 a minute right now, this is great. So it's like always, that doesn't matter where I am. I was at the Iowa State Fair, and we were amongst all the pigs and the cows and all that stuff, and I got a lead. I exited the barn. I took this call. I looked up on my phone in the land portal. I'm like, okay, this is a good deal. I'm sitting there talking to this lady in the parking lot. So it's land 24/7. But that's what the money has allowed us to do, is to travel, pay bills, um, do fun things with our daughter.
Hmm.
So
A little more
it's
weight
good.
off your back, probably, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's great. It's tremendous. The feeling, like I've heard you say, the feeling when you get that first deal, that wire transfer come in, and for me it was $14,000 profit. I was like, this is so awesome.
Hmm.
It's so great. And then you just take that money, you put it right back into the business, you buy more land, and you just keep going up and up and up.
Yeah, it's definitely a thrill at first, for sure. When you get used to it, you get numb to it a little bit. That thrill at first, those first 3, 5, 10, 15 deals, it's amazing. And then that first really big one. Any advice you would give as we finish this out? Any advice you would give for someone looking to get into this? Maybe they just got started. I know a lot of people came in from Black Friday, but any someone who's still looking into this and might be thinking it's not for them potentially.
I'd say um, the biggest thing is getting the mail out. Just get the mail out. Like I've heard you guys say, stop listening to the podcast. Just get the mail out. Just get the mail out, or get the text out. And as soon as you get the lead come in, contact the person right away. Just make first contact. Talk to the person like they're a human being. You're a human being. You're just having a good conversation back and forth where you don't sound like a salesperson right off the bat. But the process works. I've been doing this for 6 months. I've got 8 deals, 8 listed so far. It's going to be like an awesome 2025. I'm really looking forward to it. So just to get over that mental hump and say, look, I'm going to do this. This is going to be successful. It worked for all these other people. It's going to work for me as well. And just push through and actually send out the mail.
Mm.
Sending out the mail is pushing that button to send that mail that is a you want your heart to start beating, get that button to purchase to send that mail.
Awesome. Well, Nick, I really, really appreciate you hopping on. I coming into this, I didn't know. I knew you've been successful. I didn't know exactly your story. It's really cool to hear your story in more detail. If you guys are listening or watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, share this with a friend. Leave us a review. It really helps. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.